Used to it. Just gotta get used to it. All right. Okay, let's try this again. Hello everyone, welcome to my first YouTube video. I've been wanting to do this for so long, but honestly I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, so we're just gonna try this out and see where it goes. I'm just gonna start with where I'm at right now, give you an update on what's happening, because honestly these last few months have just been crazy. I'm currently 16 weeks out for my first national show, which is basically a pro qualifier. So if I win the show that I'm about to compete in, then I win my pro card. Honestly, just saying it is so surreal to me because I just did my first competition a year ago, October 2020, and it seems like just yesterday when I did it. But at the same time, you know how prep goes, it feels like it's been forever. And I'm not gonna lie, like the last few weeks have been really tough. The last few months actually have been really tough. And I feel like I'm at a point now where I can share some of my learnings with you after hitting basically rock bottom within the last couple of weeks. And I know that many of you could be in the same situation regardless of whether or not you're competing. So here we go. If you've caught me on Instagram lately, you may have noticed that I've been posting a lot more personal things, things that I usually wouldn't post, like yoga, talking about yin and yang, hanging out with friends, going out with friends at restaurants, going to breweries. Happy birthday, bitch! All that fun stuff that, you know, isn't technically or isn't typically what I would post as a bodybuilder. As like Kim lifts, right? But I'll explain why. So let me start by saying that I qualified for nationals and won the overall my very first show. In 2020, October 2020, which was almost a year ago now, crazy. But I started that prep, my very first prep, in December 2019. And I thought that I was going to do my show in May, but because of COVID, it getting pushed back, and I ended up doing the show in October. Won that show, amazing. Qualified for nationals, and I was actually going to do nationals in November that year. Okay, this is what 1,200 calories burned looks like. So I basically did like an 11-month long prep in 2020. My prep is coming full circle, guys. I started in December and I'm ending in December. It is now November 12th. 700 calories burned. 700 to go. Good morning, everybody. Some sad news today. 13 days out and they canceled the Ben Weider. Fast forward to today. I started my prep for my national show in January, thinking that I would do a 7-month long prep because nationals was supposed to be at the end of July and now it's August. So the show is actually going to be in the winter time. Basically what you need to know from that story is that I've been on prep really for almost 2 years straight. And I've been gunning for first place since the first time I started, and holy fuck, I am like burnt the fuck out. You guys, I'm so burnt. On top of that, my whole prep I've been dealing with like chronic pain, but recently it's been a lot harder. I have a lot of asymmetries that I'm working with, and it makes training all the more challenging. And here's the problem. Well, let me preface the problem. My goal is to always win. I want to do whatever it takes to win. I classify myself as a psycho because of how hard I pushed myself and how I was able to get back up even after breaking down multiple times. So for me, that means pushing harder, trying again and again, all gas, no brakes. I've been so frustrated with my body because what I'm telling it to do isn't happening. I was at the gym 2 weeks ago and it was, I don't even know, like a shoulder day, and it was the worst shoulder day of my life. I just wanted to leave, but I didn't. I pushed through, did my cardio, my 100 minutes of cardio, left, and then I called Chester and I just fucking started bawling, like sobbing, like like you couldn't even hear what I was saying because I was like ugly crying. Asking me like, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong? And I was just saying like, I had such a bad workout, and he's like, that's it? That's all you're crying about? You just had a bad workout? And I was thinking about it and it's like, no, that's not it. Like, that's not the only reason why. And I wasn't consciously aware that there was more, but I knew deep down there was still something there. But I didn't realize it until the next morning. My mom just asked me the simple question of, how are you? And then I just started crying. And if you know me, I'm not a crier. It takes a lot for me to cry. Like, I could be at your funeral, not your funeral. I could be deeply hurt, but I wouldn't cry. So that was a huge red flag for my mom. That was a huge red flag for me. Like, what the fuck is happening? And it continued on for another day or so. So I was crying for like 3 days straight. But now, having gone through it, I clearly see what the problem was. The problem was, and I know a lot of you probably need to hear this as well, is that I was suppressing a lot, if not all, of my emotions. Hunger, pain, tiredness, frustration, all of it. Even happy feelings like happiness, joy, felt nothing. I felt like I was numb. I was a robot. I put it all off because that's what I thought that winners need to do. And to an extent, yes, we do need to be emotionally intelligent, but being emotionally intelligent doesn't mean push your feelings aside. It means deal with your feelings, feel with your feelings, and act accordingly to the outcome that you want to happen. But it doesn't mean push your feelings aside. That works. Really, like, ignoring your emotions, pushing them aside works to an extent. Like, I know that it's worked for me deep into prep, like 4, 6, 8 weeks out, but not like over 4 months out, not even like over 3 months out. And I've been in it for so long, I didn't even realize that this was what I was doing. This was like a habit I created without even knowing it. But when you're so focused on your goal, when you're so focused on this one thing, you have tunnel vision, it seems like nothing else matters. But there are some things that really do. And when I realized this, everything just started to click again. And the only reason why it all started to kind of make sense was because I shared what I was feeling with my physio, you know. She said something like this: perhaps your masculine and feminine energies are off balance. What the fuck does that mean? Like, masculine, like, what the fuck is that? So I googled it, and let me just pull it up on my phone. What I googled. Can you guys see that? I googled masculine versus feminine energy off balance, and I spelled it wrong, so I clicked this one. And this is from goop.com. And there's a whole article about it, and I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, okay, this is yin and yang. I've heard yin and yang before, I've seen the symbol a million times, but this is actually the first time that I've really read about it. So yin and yang is basically your masculine and feminine energies. Yin is feminine, yang is masculine. In life, we feel the most harmonious when we are balanced with these energies. And when you're off balance, I guess that's when life feels unharmonious and you're all out of whack and you're like, what the fuck is happening? So basically what happened to me. Apparently there are 4 general types of energies. I'm actually going to read for you the 2 extremes, because you'll get the idea just by reading greater yin and greater yang. You know when you like read something and you're like, holy fuck, that's me? I had that moment reading this and I couldn't help but laugh because I'm like, holy shit, this is what's wrong with me right now. So let me read it to you and maybe we'll figure out which one you are. Here, this is the greater yin. Okay, let's start with greater yin. Greater yin. This is about as feminine as it gets. This energy is associated with stillness, nighttime, intuition, creativity, feelings, and senses. So it asks, is this you? Okay, this is from group.com. Let me just put that out there. Is this you? You feel it all. You feel things sometimes before actually understanding them. You have a bleeding heart and tend to side with the underdog. You may require more alone time than most. It is possible that others have called you needy or sensitive before. You may not necessarily be an introvert, but you likely exhibit introverted tendencies. So this is more of the greater yin side. It says that your strengths are you're great at getting vulnerable, honest, transparent, and authentic. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's nearly impossible for you not to be in integrity. You are wise and pensive and have the ability to connect deeply with any person or situation. When your energies are in balance, most people feel special in your presence and that they are totally seen, heard, and understood by you. So that is the greater yin. So I read this thinking like, hey, yeah, like that's kind of me. Like, you know, like I'm empathetic. I can feel for people. I understand people. I like to listen to people. Like, this is totally me. And then I read on. So here is greater yang. Here is greater yang, y'all. Greater yang. This is as masculine an energy as it gets. Okay, I don't know why that's funny. I'm not even getting to the good part, but I'm already like, this is just so funny to me. Greater yang energy is assertive, goal-oriented, accomplished, and dominant. This energy is associated with daytime, activity, vision, and power. I'm reading this, I'm like, okay. Is this you? You're a boss and you know it. Everyone knows it. You've always been a natural leader. It's likely the kids on the playground assigned you that role before you could even cognitively process the magnitude of your strengths. You're a fabulous problem solver. You think big, you dream big, you shift energy in a big way. You could get bored if otherwise. Can you see where I'm getting at here? These are your strengths. You can hustle without feeling burnt out. You move mountains. You often save the day. You're totally trapped into the bigger picture and you're fabulous at keeping your eyes on the prize. You're all over... What? Can't read. You're all mind over matter, and what a beautiful mind you have. You likely have a robust constitution and hardly ever get sick. Though, when you do get sick, it likely knocks you out. Okay. You've been blessed with a little extra energy, motivation, and drive. You think fast, excel, and grow faster than most. So, after reading those two, I'm like, I'm yin, but I'm totally leaning way more towards yang, especially at this point in time. You know, I'm in a competition, I'm doing what it takes to win, and I fucking got sick and it knocked me out. Not sick, like COVID sick, but mentally sick, I guess, because I've just been suppressing all my emotions. Just reading that already gave me so much more perspective on the personality type that I have and some of the imbalances that I might have. This is for greater yang. I'll talk about greater yin later. You know what you want and you've got the energy and drive to make it happen, so you do. This hustle comes so naturally to you, but you likely aren't giving yourself enough credit for all that you do. It's common for greater yang folks to overextend themselves. You give too much and don't receive enough. Save your energy for those that count the most. So reading that, I was like, holy fuck, I'm imbalanced as fuck. Like, I know I can do everything, so I try to do it, but in reality, like, there's no way I can do all of it. That was a huge learning experience for me. Other things, like, here, I'll share with you greater yin, but reading about yin also helped me find, like, what I needed to balance out my yang with. Basically, when I was reading yin, I was just doing what I did to help myself recover and find my balance and find my center, was doing things that a yin person would do. This is the imbalance of the greater yin. So you're such an empath. You're such an empath. You can easily be an energy sponge and take on energy of any environment you're in. This can be very disempowering for you. You're especially in tune with parts of the day that hurt your feelings, likely to ruminate over those few minutes rather than empowered by the rest of the day. Even if it was really glorious, it's like your mind is being held hostage by your own feelings and cyclic thoughts. Remember how the yin/feminine is stillness. Too much stillness can feel isolating and lonely. So I can relate to that, but that is not where I am at this moment in time, at least. But reading about that is saying, like, hey, like, a yin is more emotional, sensitive, in tune with their feelings. They're more still, and that's what I need to do, because this is like how fast my mind goes, how fast I've been moving. Like, winning my first show, doing a national show, like, it's moving so fast for me and I can't even process what's happening. I read about other yin qualities, and things that I needed to balance my yang out with was, like, pleasure. Too busy for that. Like, don't need to say anything about that, but, you know, like, even just with food, like, I didn't find pleasure in food, didn't find pleasure in anything. Even in training, I didn't find any pleasure. I was like a robot, just doing things just to do things, just to get it done, and that was so draining for me. With playfulness, like, I'm a playful person. Like, I love to have fun. Like, I'm always rallying people up. Like, if I'm at a party, I'm like always the one calling for shots, and I wasn't doing that. Like, I didn't put myself in positions or in social events to be able to be fun again. Like, I didn't do any of that. Even with Chester, like, he's on prep, I'm on prep, we don't laugh together very much. Excuse me, do you think there's such thing as loving yourself too much?
No, you can never love yourself too much, because life is about loving yourself. Fuck it.
It's just true. It's true.
Fucking.
Well, now we have, but, like, leading up to that point where I broke down, we didn't laugh together very much. I was so uptight, and I've just used prep as an excuse, but I can still have fun on prep, right? And intuition. Like, I'm so structured. I don't even have time to think about what my body needs or what I need, or, like, be in tune with my intuition. And I think that's something that I lost. And my body was telling me so hard, like, you need to rest, you need to rest, you need to rest, like, you need to chill, you need to eat more, sleep more, rest more. But I was fighting it so hard. I was pushing it when it was telling me to stop, and I just ran myself into the ground. Emotions, suppress them all. Be a robot. That's what's in my head. But for goodness sakes, I'm like fucking 4 months out from my show. I don't need to be a robot at this point. Like, I still can get shit done, but I don't need to be a fucking robot, right? So yeah, I fucking went out. I had drinks. I ate colorful foods. I wore orange, because apparently that's what you're supposed to do when you're feeling off balance by the greater yin. Put more color and life back into my life. I went out with friends. I went out with family. I had dinner. I ate whatever I wanted to fucking eat. I drank whatever the fuck I wanted to drink. I didn't train at all. I just slept a lot. I think I slept for like 8 to 10 hours every day for the last, I don't know, 2 weeks. crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay, I've been talking a lot. I don't know how much I need to cut from that, but I am picking this up because I don't want to be in the same background for too long, because apparently YouTubers, you got to move around, like, you know, like zoom in, zoom out, so people don't get bored of you. But what I realized, and what I think that people who are on prep, or even people who are goal oriented, these are to all my greater yangs out there who can relate to me, like, whatever you're focused on, if it's prep, let me just use prep as an example. If you're prepping, or if you have like a project going on, like, prep for me is very me. Like, bodybuilding is very me, but it's not all of me. And when you let that project, or when I let that prep take over my entire life, it will consume me and it will drain the living hell out of me. So that's what I learned from today, or from this week, is that there's so much more to me than my prep, than bodybuilding. So I need to be able to balance out my yin with my yang with some yin. And really, I think that's all what life is about, is really finding your balance. And my balance might be different from your balance, even if we're both greater yangs, right? And it may not even be the same for you 2 weeks from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It's always constantly changing. Life is always constantly changing, and it's always up to us to find a balance that works for us in that moment of time. So at the end of the day, I think we all want to live in harmony with ourselves at first, and with the world. So that is what I wanted to share with you, my experience in yin and yang practices. So I'm going to continue. I feel so much more centered now, and I hope that if you're feeling off balance, that these tips will help you. So I'll catch you in another vlog, and hopefully this was helpful for you. Bye! I just finished my video.
Mm.